That mirror is an aftermarket one. There's no way that should have happened.
How am I meant to see now?
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Project George, the series that seems to be bringing every single bit of trouble my direction, but we're getting somewhere. And as some of you may have seen at the Festival The Unexceptional, this car is now looking a lot better in the bodywork department, and we're getting there with the mechanical bits. We're just dealing with a lot of loose ends. Now today we are going to change all three engine mountings on this car, and well, Nick will tell you the difference before and after. We will do a sort of before and after on that one. That's the concentration on today's episode, and what the difference is that they actually make when you go from the old ones to actually either good aftermarket ones or genuine ones if you can get them. Most of all, you'll probably go for aftermarket because the genuine ones are extortionate, and they are available. They're extortionate, particularly the Hydra mount, which is here. We have got a brand new one actually. This is brand new. It's just been in storage for ages, but yep. And you just want to make sure that there's no cracking. This rubber is nice and supple. Good. This is one supplied by Dave. Hello, Dave. We're going to keep this as a spare. As we can see on this one, I've just released it from the bracket. We are getting some very minor cracking at the bottom, and this rubber is a bit more, it's gone a little bit on the too soft side where they can actually start to creak a little. We don't know whether this might have leaked oil. They are prone to doing that at an old age. You'll just see some oil around this rim here. You will notice, and you'll probably get a run and a bit of a staining. This is the bracket it comes with. It just goes through and it mounts to that hole. But I'll go through that a little bit later. But in this episode, we're dealing with a few loose odds and ends. And one of those jobs that has been noted is the idle control valve. Hello, Nick. Hello, buddy.
Good morning.
Good morning. You're getting your hands dirty before I am today. That's amazing.
Yeah, I've got to look busy, haven't I?
Absolutely. You've got to look busy, yeah, exactly, as opposed to actually doing something. He's just pretending. No, he's actually taking the idle control valve out that I have actually given from my spares. Because there's only one thing... Yeah, I know. Don't worry about that. Yeah, so that's the original. Yeah, it's clean as anything. Yeah, I know. They're both really, really clean. Don't confuse the two. Which one's which? That one. Right. Yes. Yes, it is actually. Right, so... This is the one out of my spares. We think that we were just getting a little bit of undue idleness. So the idles are sticking, aren't they, Nick? So when you slow down...
Put clutch in it, it goes up.
It goes up to about 1100, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And it stays there for a few seconds and then it goes to idle.
Yeah.
So we think it might be this that the computer's compensated for. So we're going to see if the old one... This is Nick's old one that I took off in that episode, and I've cleaned it up, cleaned it out. It looks fantastic. It looks like this one. So that's going to go on now, and we're just going to see, once I've done another job, whether that will make a difference and whether the car changes its characteristics. It's very possible, and this is the risk here. When I cleaned the throttle body, I did clean it thoroughly, and I may have wiped that coating. Now, as I said, it's not necessarily a bad thing on Mark 1s that coating gets rubbed away, because the idle will be a bit higher, but it shouldn't produce those characteristics, but we think it could be. But we're going to change this and just see whether, because we know that one would have been working perfectly, whether it's either that or what I've done. But the computer is compensated. It's just one of them things you might have to live with, Nick.
It's not an air leak?
No, it's not an air leak. It wouldn't be anything.
Smoke test?
No, it wouldn't be any... Well, you'd know if it was an air leak. It wouldn't idle properly. But the idle's super smooth, isn't it? Everything about it. Yeah, it's great, isn't it? It's absolutely... The benefits to this are absolutely ridiculous. We'll probably end up cleaning the alternator at some point in the future, because now that's looking a bit bare bone. But we're going to deal with all this down here. And we are also going to do a timing belt very soon, imminently.
The kit in the back.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
For argument's sake, I should have done this before now. But the truth is, we've done several things, and now we can safeguard the engine. It's not going to be used that much anyway between now and then. So we're going to be doing that very soon and imminently. It'll be the next job on the list.
Yeah.
But we are going to take away all these engine mountings. But so if you bolt that into place, mate, just nip up those 2 bolts very loosely. Just, as I say, just nip them up, get it placed in, and then connect it, and then we'll go to the back job, which is this, the fuel filter. Yes, we had a few problems with the fuel filter, so just shut that there.
If you remember in that episode.
Yes, if you do remember in that episode, exactly. We have the correct sized bracket here, obviously, and we've got the correct sized fuel filter, which I believe is here. Yes, this is the correct one. So if you want reference, Crossland F30225, okay? That is the correct one, and it will fit in that bracket perfectly fine. I mean, you can see straight away. So I'm just going to fit that. Now, I'm just going to get on with this job because at the moment that isn't completely fitted. I need to get that bolt from somewhere. Whether the bolt is in the car, I don't know. I don't think it is. So I'm going to have to find that little screw. What was that sign, mate?
There was a bolt missing, wasn't there?
Yes, I need to find that bolt, so I'm going to have to look in my spares for an appropriate fixing for that. But otherwise, I'm just going to get on with that, and then we'll cut to the next job. Right, after about half an hour struggling, we have got the fuel filter back into place under the car. Now, what I'm going to try and do is I'll point you out. I've just put a new bolt in, which is way up here. Now, I'm afraid to do that is such a horrible job because there is no space between the body and the fuel tank. There really isn't, but now that is nice and secure. You just have to hand tighten it using a long extension and one of those spin drivers that I'm going to show you, but I'm just going to put that, I think that line's on. No, it isn't. That's it. There we go, done. We are in place, all good. That's in place. Brake pipe's back in there. It's just a bit of surface corrosion there, but it's nothing much at all. We'll deal with that in the future. Right. Oh, dear me, Nick. Honestly, that was a horrible job. Really was.
Hours later.
Oh, it feels like it. You need a good torch. I need to find a bolt. And where's my spinny handle? This is what you use, guys. A short 10mm, 1/4 inch on some extensions and a spinner handle, and you are literally turning it by hand because there's no way you're going to do that. Right, what's the next job?
Brake hoses.
Yes. Lovely. Back off the ramps. Okay. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Right. Right, just for those who want to know how to change their rear brake hoses. Nick, where's the new ones? Oh, they're in the boot. They're in there. We've got the correct ones, and it's these. Now, this is the Febi. These are the Febi ones I recommend. Part number 170490, okay? If you have a Focus with drums, which is quite common, mostly common, disc brake ones, well, those are the ones that came. Yeah. Well, these were the ones that were supposed to come, that was in the picture, but they didn't. They turned, oh,
useless.
Totally useless. So, all in all, it's very simple. 15mm, crack off the union there, okay? Make sure that's nice and loose. Take this out of the grommet. Then, what we need to do is make sure that the union is completely free. You're going to need an 11mm, the original, if you've got the original unions, which this still has, crack that off. Okay, first, make sure it's loose. Then, this blasted clip. And what you're going to have to do is get a pair of pliers and pull it. Oh, come on. I can do that. There we go. It will take a bit of, there we go. It will be a bit more beaten and you might need to use a hammer and a screwdriver just to break the bond. You get the picture, it's almost out, but it's very stiff. I need 2 hands. So pull that out, then take the union off, have a cardboard container, and then we're going to fit the new hose very, very quickly with a minimal spillage. And we've just topped up the the reservoir, the clutch brake reservoir, just to keep enough fluid in the system. Okay, we're going to do it individually. Now, I know we're doing it on the wrong side here because you'll have to do the wheel and then bleed up preferably furthest away from the master cylinder. However, we've already bled the front and we've got to do the front brakes at some point soon. We're just going to bleed up individual wheels, so this will be done very, very quickly, minimal brake fluid loss, bleed it, move on to the next one, okay? And it's as simple as that. These hoses, well, the original hoses have lasted a long time. They lasted 20 plus years with very, very minor faults. They're very well made. The aftermarket ones, no idea. I've had mine on the car for about 5-6 years, no problems at all, no sign of cracking or deterioration or corrosion near the ferrule areas where it tends to sort of break the compression between the pipe and the actual fitting. But this one doesn't look actually that good at the moment. But anyway, come back to the next job. If there's any benefit from doing a rear hoses job, just before we move on anyway, brake hoses, rear brake hoses or front ones, people look at them and they think, yeah, it looks okay, no cracking or anything, and think it's fine. At 20 years of age, they may not leak, but what you will find is that brake hoses collapse internally. And what happens is it collapses either in a V, and someone gave me a diagnosis years ago where they raised their foot on the brake pedal and the brake pedal would stay where it is and then slowly rise back. And a lot of people think your master cylinder's at fault, and it can be the master cylinder. I bet you 9 times out of 10 that's because a brake hose has started, either at the front or the back, has started to collapse internally and is restricting fluid back to the master cylinder. So it's fine going to the master cylinder, fine going to the brakes when you put your foot down, but when you take your foot off and the brake fluid comes back, it's slow to return because it's collapsed in a V. Sometimes it collapses where it's difficult to apply pressure to the brakes, but it comes back fine. It could be one way or the other. It's very difficult to explain, but the V, the collapsed part of the hose, can be either in the direction going to the brakes or the direction going back to the master. So if you have a symptom of a brake pedal that returns slowly, if you've got old brake hoses, change them. It might be a much cheaper fix than a master cylinder, which will cost you, decent money. So, and especially on a Mark 1 these days. Yes, sir.
Can I have a question, sir?
Yes.
Have you experienced where the brake hoses have got, it's like blocked, so there's bulges?
No. I've never seen bulges on a Mark 1 hose, not the genuine ones, but these aftermarket ones could provide that in the future. But I would say give it about 10 years and then change them again. Mine are 6, so I'll go through the hoses again as per when and just change them. That's kind of good advice, really, to change them every 10 years, just for benefit of mind. Not to say the aftermarket ones probably can do a bit more than that, but just make sure there's no leaks here and down here, and just bleed out. We have got a lot of old fluid through, and there was a lot of air bubbles there. I could see the tons of air bubbles. I'm not sure how that's happened. Maybe I might have done it the last time, or the garage had done it most probably. But what would you say the pedal reaction is like now?
Responsive.
More responsive than earlier today?
Yes.
And did you say lighter?
Tad lighter, yeah.
Yeah. Not light as in spongy soft,
Not
just
boom.
no, not spongy, just lighter. That's perfect. Great, lovely. I mean, we want a firm pedal. We want a nice firm pedal, and it is that.
Firm.
But it's a bit lighter than it was before. I've got a feeling, mate, that some of these hoses have internally started going. I mean, if I took a hacksaw, I might be able to find it, but it could happen anywhere along these lines. So anyway, done. Right.
Been a good day so far.
Yeah, it has been a good day. We've had 3 victories so far. 1, 2, the fuel filter. Now we've got door mirror. I've got a present for you, mate. This will be number 4.
I don't want you on sample anymore.
Oh no, Sam, no, not at all. Right, next job. This mirror. It's disgusting, isn't it, Nick? I mean, this is the aftermarket one. They just go nasty. Look at that.
Good difference.
Huge difference. That's exactly what it's like on the other side. So we're going to get this thing off and get this cap swapped over to this one. I did buy this for 50 shades, but I'm actually not entirely happy with some of it, but it's a good second-hand one, I'll tell you. Anyway, we've got something...
It won't have that on it.
there's some paint on that blasted mirror. I don't understand how that's happened. We've got to take that out anyway, but the way of doing it is by pushing it in and being brutal.
Uh-oh.
That wasn't meant to happen. That mirror is an aftermarket one. There's no way that should have happened.
How am I meant to see now?
Oh, for fuck's sake. Do you know what? I hate this. Look at that.
Hey.
Oh, that's why. It's an aftermarket one. That's why it's bust. Flipping heck.
We're having a smashing time here.
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. I'll have to clean that glass up later. This is a blooming aftermarket one. We can't use that mirror if we wanted to before I smashed it. So yeah, this is not, it's not just the housing. I've seen it where it's got this unique body. That's not how it should be. If I pulled open that one, that mirror should have just come straight out, but it hasn't. What you do is you pull on the tab and there should be an end piece here and it just comes off. That is poor aftermarket and you've just witnessed that. Goodness me. I was very surprised there. Rubbish. It's like being in a bloody party, this is. Right, so to get this blasted thing off, we take Nick's knob off for a start. Nick, it's broken. Look at that, rubbish. Right, I'll have to get you a new knob. I mean, look, even Nick's knob has just completely fallen apart. Look at that. That's never happened before. That's the first time I've had that happen. That's two things I've ended up breaking today. Damn it. But don't worry about that, we'll get another one. Has anybody got one of these? Dave? Oh, by the time this video...
Pass, man, Dave.
By the time that this video comes out, so you need a new knob. Don't worry about that. This one, simple. What we have to do is bring this way. Push that in. And then what you do, just open the door, Nick. Sorry, mate. Easiest way to see is we pull this way. We bring it round. There we go, and it pops off. Right, it's very important. Now you have a bit of a sponge. I've actually lost my sponge. I threw it away. You've got to get that clip out of that hole, and you've got to make sure you do not snap these. People snap these bits where they just clip on there. So what you do, you slide it on, bam, click it back in. Now, what I am going to have to do, sorry Nick, is I might have to move. Yeah, you're going to have to move the sponge out the way because it's just there. There's a 10mm bolt, holds it all in. Where's my 10mm? Yep. Obviously have an assistant to hold it. Yeah, that's loose, take the bolt up. Do not drop that bolt down the door and you can just withdraw. Now, just make a question of getting that through there. You might just have to bend it through. It's a funny one, this. Now this foam has started to break up a little bit, but hopefully we just managed to resuscitate that a little bit. Yeah, exactly. Just bend that through. It will be. It's a very fiddly job, but you get it through. Right. Now, yeah, lovely. Now the next thing is how to get this off. Now this is a removable cap. It's not in best condition, but we're just going to swap it today. We've got these tabs here that we've got to break off. Well, not literally break off, I'll try not to, but you might need to get a pick in and a screwdriver. Right, yeah, so what I'm doing is I'm just bending these tabs away. I think this aftermarket one is a little bit different, but I'm just bent away these tabs, and there you go, it's come away without damage to any of these clips. Oh no, that one has already been done by somebody. Got a feeling, yeah, this is an aftermarket one, but this one is going in the bin of frigging shame. 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 And we have a genuine second-hand Ford one, which is absolutely perfect. This is going to go back on very, very nicely. He says. Yeah, just clip it in. Lovely.
Minus one clip.
Yeah, minus one clip, absolutely. Right, and now this is the tricky bit where you've got to insert. So if you open the door, Nick, if you go on that side of the door so people can see the problem, we've got to get it to come through that hole there and through the door card. You can take the door card off, but it's a lot of faff just to get in at that. So I'm just going to try, aim it through. See what I mean? Now you've got to pull that. There we go. Once you've got the stick up, there we go. Done. Oh, there we go. Yeah, you do get a bit of foam going over. I've ripped mine off, Nick, to be honest. It's not very ideal. Now there's a couple of tabs on this side. Just got to line it up. I've just got to put it through the foam. There we go. Lovely. Right, that fits in really, really nicely. Now where's the screw? Right. Now this is the tricky bit, I'm afraid. Nick, sorry mate. If you can you hold that for me? I'm just going to come round. Now this is the mightily tricky bit here. You might need an assistant. I'm going to do this by hand first. I want to try and get it in because otherwise we don't want to lose the screw. Maybe a bit of glue or a bit of grease, but you just got to aim it in. That's in. Yeah, that's gone in. It's gone nice and firm. So then I can finish it off. Raining foam everywhere today. This was meant to be about changing your engine mountings, but we ended up doing a million other jobs. Now, these are multiple jobs, videos and episodes, so people could just watch and luster over our pain and misery, or maybe mine. Now, just make sure it's on the tabs. If you're not sure, have a look. Don't want to snap the tabs, and click. Lovely. I'm afraid, Nick, that's going to have to stay as it is for a bit. There we go. See what I mean? It's just going to have to be like that. The only thing is, this one sits a bit further down, but sometimes they can be funny. Mark 1 mirrors. I've got to say, the one thing about a Mark 1 that looks cheap is the door mirrors. The amount of space between the glass and the body, it just doesn't look right to me. But anyway, that's another job done, and we've got a lot to clear up here. It's like being in an after party.
Really?
Yes, it's one of them days, isn't it? We've had 3 successful jobs, and Nick's going, when's the next job going to crop up? And I'm like, no, this will be fine, because I've never had a problem changing engine mountings on a Mark 1. But here we go, the George effect. That's a name that people are going to say in the future. Remember, the George is a George effect, a car that just fights you in every single corner. Yes, I have some bad news to report. So, if you come round here, Nick. So the first job to do when you're changing the 3 engine mountings, I always just get it on axle, just get it on ramps, okay? Have enough space underneath the car. And what you do is you change the swing mount, okay? Now the swing mount is the one that goes at the back of the, if it will just slip in there like that. So it slips into the subframe with a bolt going through and a bolt going through here to attach to the rear gearbox mounting. Now the mountings will be different from the manual to the automatic versions. It's a different mounting to me, but I've never known an issue with changing one of these, and these are good quality parts. Merl is the one you go. The original parts number, actually there isn't a parts number on this one, yeah, get one of these from Merl. If you're on the originals, you will get a little bit more engine rocking. You'll notice when you're moving off, especially. But it's not as simple as that on your car, is it, Nick? No. Would you like to tell people what has happened?
Where is it? Usual Caesar bolt.
Yeah. So I've put one of my rounded sockets on. It's now welded. That socket's going to go in the bin with this. The bolt, I'll show you in a second when we go under, that attaches and goes under here, has seized to this metal collar. Does that not ring a bell? Rear suspensions on a Mark 1. I never knew it was a thing where these seize in the bushes here. Theoretically, the wishbone arms, the bottom wishbones, they've got their inner bushes. They go through metal collars. Those bushes can seize I don't like to do that job on this, Nick, but that's coming up in the future. But yeah, completely seized. And well, this Milwaukee, this is the first thing that this has defeated. We've got the scaffold tube over there. So we've got a breaker bar and a scaffold tube, which is what resulted in the snappage. But we did our due diligence, didn't we? We did everything we could. We were banging it. I was wire brushing the bolt. I was banging it. I even got a tool out that nobody has seen before on this channel. And it is this. If you don't know what this is, it is a heat induction tool. These are very expensive, I will tell you. And this one has got me out of jail a few times in the last 6 months. It's a tool I've never shown on this channel, but basically it uses eddy currents to heat up a bolt. And it was cherry red, wasn't it? It was almost smoky. It was literally really smoky. So this, and then what I tried to do, as soon as you take away that tool, it's boiling hot. You use this crack off shock freeze spray. You are heating it up, boiling it, then you freeze it. You're causing a complete contraction of that bolt, and that should have been enough. No,
not for this car.
No, which kind of proves that this tool, this, and a breaker with a scaffold tube, and bashing it with a hammer several times is not enough for this engine mounting. And it certainly probably wouldn't be enough in many circumstances for the rear suspension bolts. They just snap. That is, they seize and they will snap. And that is exactly what has happened. So, right, give me the camera, Nick. I'm going to go down.
Can't get that off either.
No. Oh, don't worry, that's going to go in the bin. That is actually a 12mm instead of a 13 because I had to use a smaller size. So, actually, this 12mm, that can go in the bin as well. It's a 12mm. I'm not going to be using it. But I'll just take you down here. Excuse me, Mick. I'm just going to move down here. And I'm going to show you the damage. Okay, so we have this mounting. And at the back, there it is. This is the mounting in question. We loose 1, 2, and 3 bolts. They have to be loosened off. But the bolt down here, flipping seized. Yeah. Now, what has happened here, Nick can drive home today. That bush is twisting with that bolt. It's completely seized. So the garage are going to have to cut. What I would be doing is cutting with an air saw the top bit, cut the bolt off very carefully by these pipes. And then, well, we've got to release it from this end first. You can still take the mounting off for the gearbox. And then it's going to be drilled out by his garage. I can't do that here. It would take me too long. Obviously, if it was my own car, I would be doing it. But like I said, I didn't anticipate this problem. And again, wishbone arms. This bolt here. This is, again, another one that goes through a collar. Not that one, and that one. They're both inner bushes for the bottom wishbones. This car has definitely been by the sea. It is no exaggeration. Oh. Deary me. Okay, so you can see the problem here, but because most of the bolt is there, this engine isn't going to rock. Again, I'm pleased to show you that, but I've got a feeling this gearbox is going to be replaced because we have a slight bearing issue with this gearbox, and we've got a low mileage one waiting to go in to have it replaced with the clutch. The clutch needs doing as well, so it's all going to be kind of one job a little bit.
Can George go in for it?
Oh, excuse me.
And just throw him in the sea, then just leave it.
What was that, Si?
Can George just go in the sea with it?
Yeah.
Can George go in the bin with that?
Potentially, we could push it into the sea where it probably came from. But as I say, everything under this car seems to put up a struggle. Seriously. Not happy. Right. The other two mountings. Right. Next job. Block of wood for the bottom of the gearbox. Straight on the jack. Now, we've got two mountings on here. We've got that one, which I've just doused in WD-40, and that one under the airbox, which we've got to release in a second. We have another one from Merle with that parts number of 714-130-0005. That is your gearbox mounting, and they can make an awful lot of difference. The Hydra mounting for that side, that makes the most difference in terms of the vibration transmitted to the cabin. It is oil filled, okay? You will most likely have evidence of an oil leakage from where it actually spills over. You might see oil, or it might be a bit wet. It might look like someone's just, I don't know, put some WD-40 in there and it's just old oil. It's leaking. It needs to be changed. They can leak oil and the rubber can go, or both can go. In this case, yes. Okay. But anyway, we're going to start off with this one. So first thing, we just want to crack that off. Okay, I don't have the right bloody tool for this, but just poke this out. Okay, just want to get this hose off and then whip this aside. Just take the breather out of the box. There we go. Put that down there and then get this out of the way. Okay, it just comes off on 3 legs. Okay, we've done that a million times before. Now we have the mounting. Yeah, it is tied in here, and it is the original Ford one. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 4 bolts, and that they all look a bit suspicious to me. So, yeah. So what I'm going to do, actually, I'm not going to even anticipate this now, but I'm going to use my tool because I've got it out. I'm going to use a bit of heat induction because I'm not taking any chances with any of these. Let's go. This will heat up really nicely and it'll start smoking. There we go. Yeah, we've got the 4 nuts. And the key is to release these 4 nuts first, because the centre one there is what holds the gearbox to the mounting. The gearbox isn't going to drop off if you take these 4 off, by the way. It will stay where it is because it's sitting against the ledge, because the gearbox mounting comes up. And just got to be careful. Now this is my proving case near wiring looms like this. Don't let it touch the wiring loom. It's perfectly safe, flameless, and it will just heat it up and it will just contract it a little bit. Do not, this is the thing, ideally you don't want the nut cherry red, you just want it smoking, because it's probably breaking the bond very, very nicely. The centre one never gives issues. Never have I known an issue with the centre one, he says. Nick's laughing because every time I say that, something...
Famous last words?
Yeah, something always goes on. There you go. Lovely. Right. Now this is going to be a bit smoky. Bit of penetrating fluid. Oh, maybe not. It's not as hot as I thought. There we go. Lovely. Right.
The cool thing first.
Yeah, you can use the cool thing, but actually in this case, I don't think it's necessary. Just the penetrating fluid will do enough. Now, I need to come under. If you just bring it out under here, Nick, just keep the camera level so people can see. We want it kind of just underneath the engine. You're going to need a very tall jack. Now, it's on ramps at the moment. I've only put it on ramps to do the rear mounting. You don't have to have it on mounts, you just have it on the garage floor, so you could probably use another jack, but I'm having to use a high level one. And we just want it so it's just sitting on this part of the gearbox. There we go. There we are. The whole engine gearbox have just gone up. Now that will be held. That's not going anywhere soon. Okay. And now we can just crack these off. Now, they are probably 15s. Let's have a look.
I'm guessing 13.
Might be right, actually. It's been a while. No, they are 15s, my friend. They are 15s.
Can't see that.
I know. Tell me about it. We're just going to use a brake.
Can't see that.
Yeah, I know. He's given me some very bad signs, ladies and gentlemen. But here we go. Lovely. Straight away. Off we go. They're just... There we go. Well, that was easy. And that's the power of heat induction. They would have probably come off anyway, but since I've got the tool, there we go. Right, I've had enough. I'm just doing it this way. Easy as you like. That's one. They're quite rusty, these. I'll just take this one. If you are using an impact gun, just go easy and feather the trigger on and off. No resistance with that one. There you go, mate. And then we've got this one. Don't want to use the impact gun necessarily, I just want to crack it off. Right. Oh, see that? Whole engine and gearbox shifted then. See, what you can do now effectively is you can shift the whole engine and gearbox. There you go. Now at this moment, make sure your jack is in a good position. There we go. Done.
Does it need to be raised?
Not really, but we can just do this. Yeah, just bit of pressure underneath the mounting is all good. Nothing's going to fall off the car. In fact, if you had a serious scenario where the jack actually failed, essentially it would still not fall out the car because you've got that mount and that mount attached, even though it would absolutely stress them to hell. And the drive shafts will take out a lot of play. I've seen that happen before. You can't do it. I've seen it at breakers yards, you know, where this mounting has been missing. But yeah, this has to be done up quite a bit on the torque settings. But don't do torque settings. Now this isn't a locking nut, by the way. It's just a big. I've got a few of these actually hanging around. But now we can now safely take the mounting off. You might have to shift it a bit. There you go. That's stuck. There we go. All done. It's probably just fatigued over the years. It's not too bad. They don't usually go that bad, but oh god, a bit of rust fell off there. But yeah, literally, you've got your top mounting here. You've got 3 brackets here. You do probably have to take that off if you're changing the gear, if you're changing the clutch. But there we go. I've got some rocking going on. Lovely. Now this is potentially what this mounting does. It helps the rear one control the shifting. Right. We've got mil stamped onto this one, so we must make sure it is the right way around. Now you see this cutout here, okay? You got that in the camera, Nick?
Yep.
Okay, you've got a cutout here at north. You've got to make sure that cutout here is facing it. Just get it into position. Might have to just shift the gearbox a little bit. There we go. It just wants to fight and push. The engine wants to come forward, and that's it. That is literally it. The writing on the tag goes to the back because the idea is that's a little bumper. That is, this piece of rubber is a bumper. Effectively, it will just, this mounting will just move that way. But that's great. Now, what I'm going to do is the most important one. Excuse me, that's the wrong one. Is to tighten this up. Now, what I suggest as a top tip to take the pressure off the thread is just jack it up a little bit more. See that? It's just settled. There you go. That's just settled, and I can wind it in a bit more, okay? Okay, lovely. Now, I have jacked it up a little bit too high there, but effectively, we can just start winding this in a little bit. So, torque wrench time, the centre bolt. Now, what you have to do here as well, just make sure that this is resting on this ledge. So back the jack off and let it rest a little bit. But the jack is still on the gearbox, but it's only just about supporting it and stopping it falling any further. And that once that bolt is tight, you can torque it up, and it is 133 Newton meters. That's it, done. That's tight. That's done. Right, now, you theoretically just take the jack away, because that's not going anywhere, but we won't do that. We just put all these nuts back on, and you tighten all these nuts to 48 Newton meters. 48 Newton meters by the book, but I do it to 50. All up. There we go, fine. There. Always happens. Sometimes I double click. Some people say you're not supposed to on these things. I've been, honestly, there's no difference. You're just checking that it has set at that torque setting. And now, all in, my friend, all in, and jack is released. That will not shift at all now. You'll notice a massive difference. The biggest difference is this one, but they all have different jobs. As I say, that makes a difference to you. Vibrations through the steering wheel, to the floor. That one makes a difference to the engine and gearbox swing, takes a lot of strain off the drive shafts, and the gearbox does a bit of that, and it does a bit of that, but in a more basic manner. It's a very basic mounting, and it just keeps it strapped up nicely to the body. Good, that's done. We'll pop the airbox. Yeah.
I started this car this morning,
Yes.
and I could feel a lot of vibration in the clutch pedal.
That's nothing to do with this. It's nothing to do with this.
But then it went after that.
Monitor that, but as I say, that's all going to be done. So anyway, I'll pop the airbox back on. Next one, hydro mounting. This will be a fun one. Right, bolty out from the coolant bottle to do this, and then obviously you need to pry it off. Now, just move the bottle, take its hoses out, put it completely out the way. I've also jacked up the sump, just double check that it is jacked up on the sump. Yep, and we've got a lot of surface area to work with. That's all good. Now we have the mounting. Now this power steering reservoir, which we're going to be dealing with in a second, because the last job we've got to do today is another flush. Yeah, how many of them have we done? But we'll do it.
About 4.
Yeah, I know. So I'm not going to be touching that bolt. I'm going to say you just got to keep an eye on these areas, because these areas can get rather frilly down here on a Mark 1.
Oh.
Yeah, don't worry about that. But it's solid, but just a little bit on the frilly side. We'll find out once we've taken this. There's a lot. No, it's where the earth goes into a little gully there. It's just been lodged with rubbish. It's nothing. But it will be. It can be sanded back.
What's this for?
Sorry?
What's that?
Oh, that's just a tab for one of the Torx bolts that goes through there. I believe so, anyway, for the arch liner. But anyway, stop distracting me.
Anyway.
Yes, anyway. All good Mark 1 chatter. People love it. You've just taken the grommet for the throttle, which is here. These can snap here, so be very careful when pulling that off. But look at that! Which the rest of the car look like that, to be honest. 15s all the way around. Look. You have to take these 3 bolts out. There's one there, there's one there, there's one there. Again, the engine's not going to go anywhere because it's still being held to the mounting. So we're going to take all 3 of these out. So hopefully this will be able to shift it. There we go. I've never had a problem getting any of these out. Again, like he says, good. See what I mean? That's how clean they are. No issues with these whatsoever. Let's put these in. Shut on the socket. Yeah, lovely. They are all the same size. That one's tight. Okay.
And toi.
Yeah, it's a little bit rustier, but still. Now, effectively, we can shift the engine about again. But we will just need to whip these nuts off. Now, what's just happened here? Now, there's a couple of problems with doing this job, and it's something that I've encountered before on mine. Okay, so Nick, if you bring people in as closely as you can. Now, what we had it there just now is because we got the bolts moving. Now, you see these bolts, they will not come out of the actual mounting because they've got, that's a safety measure to make sure that if any of these bolts came loose, your engine is not going to fall out the car. It will not happen. Don't worry about it. The scariest thing with doing this job is people think that things are going to fall off and like your engine's going to fall out. It's nothing to be scared of, I assure you. You follow these instructions. We've put a 15mm on this nut, and this star bit on this stud is an E8. Literally, you could just get this on and just wind it off with assistance. Okay, just gently. And do that. Look at that, nice clean thread. No, but we got to loosen. Woo. takes a lot of doing this is when rust gets to these shafts. As I say, the nut came off that one because it's been protected by that plastic throttle grommet. But you do have to just persevere, lots of WD-40. You see, it's like the rear engine mount. 10 years ago, that job would have come off perfectly easy. These cars are now over the age of 20. They are having issues now, and components are more difficult to service than ever. And the ones that have never been looked at like this are the ones that are suffering. Now, I'm going to do the same to the other one, and we'll cut back. Okay. I just want to...
Stop it.
It's all right, mate. It's gone. I was going to say, it's lucky we've done this, because when I come to do your timing belt, everything will have come off before. You might just have to hold the stud that's gone into this block underneath, okay? And then literally the nuts will come off and we are out. Lovely. Da-da. Yeah, we both feel the same way today. Oh, dearie me. And here we go. Off it comes. Lovely. It's attached to its mounting bracket, and we're not going to be needing that. We are actually going to take that off anyway, but we've got another mounting bracket, a much better one. But literally, these studs, well, they've gone back in. I've just tightened them back in for that. But Nick, what's all this rust? Just look at this rubbish. We've got to sort this out. Look at that. It's all just grime. It's a bit bubbly down here, but it's okay. It's solid. Brake pipe looks okay. That's your brake pipe union all the way bloody down here. This is the one that we're probably going to have to change at some point. That's all right. But
How on the other side?
well, it's the other side as well, but this is the easiest side to do, trust me. But yeah, okay, I'm not going to be tempted to touch that today because we don't want any incidents. But anyway, ignoring that, we're going to clean that up in a second. Well, actually, we'll cut back in 10 minutes because I need a tea break. This is just hard work, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Merle engine mount. These are, again, pretty decent. This is the old one. And I can tell you what, Nick, if you can bring it in, there's a crack going right here, and that's this. It's just minor cracking. It's not the worst, but there has been evidence that oil was definitely leaked out. It looks like a mess. It's already gone the way. Now, to get this off, you're going to need an assistant or a vise and a 19mm with a breaker bar if you haven't got an impact gun. But I can just literally put my foot on this and break it off. Watch it, it's going to spin. There we go. The only problem is it spins. Keep that foot. You see that? Thanks, Nick. It wanted to spin there with the mounting. That's going to go in the bin. That's going to go in my spares as well, because we have got a couple of these. But I thought I'd want to use this. We have got another one, but this is do you know what, it can be refurbed, but I can't be bothered. Dave, thank you very much for one that you've painted up. This is going to go straight on, and it's very, very simple. We're not going to do torque settings for this because you just need to get it as tight as you can with a gun or breaker bar in a vise, or with someone's foot on it like we're doing. This is definitely the caveman way of doing it. But you'll see a little dimple there. Okay, that has to line up with that hole there. Okay, you can't go wrong. Well, obviously the threads are going to be opposite the mounting point there, but just pop it in. It will probably try and come out, but just going to wind it on as best as I can. Now I'm just going to wind it in very slowly. Now, how's that moved? Yeah, that's fine. That's good. That's actually locked in. Right, Nick. Try not to damage the paint. Might need to put a foot on it there. Foot on that. This is not the best way of doing it. If you've got that secure there. You see this mark here? There's a little mark on my impact gun. Good technique, a paint mark. That's not moving anymore. That's good. That's good. There's a good little technique I've got for doing things like that. Put a paint mark on the socket, and when the paint mark starts slowing down, you know you're getting to the yield point and you don't want to damage anything. So we can go and put this straight on now. As you can see here, we've been cleaning down here. Nick has ordered a new pulley because well, for the next job, the timing belt job, this one has been scored a little bit and it's gone rusty, so we'll just change that. We have got some scabs down here. It's the rust converter is starting to work. We're going to leave it to do its work, but we've revealed just little pitted areas, bubbly areas, but I don't think any of this is concerning at all. It will need to be done. My idea is that when this engine bay starts to look a bit cleaner, mate, what we're going to do is we're going to sand all this back and spray it up. We're going to have newspaper all here and spray the whole thing up Neptune green, and that is the best way of doing this. Now just put the mount back on. Make sure you get that throttle cable the right way. Okay, and just put it in situ. Well, that looks amazing already. Now what I'm going to do is just jack the engine up. Okay, now I've got a feeling yeah, now what I'm going to do is take these two out, and the reason is these have to go through the opposite way. I actually forgot that myself, but I'm just going to release these. This is a really fiddly job. We've got things all in the way here. Thanks, mate. So we're going to take these out because these have to go in later, okay? And this one. You notice on the mounting, there's a little cutout. That's like a square cutout, so these studs cannot go back through there in the event of a catastrophe, of a failure. So just take these out. I've got plenty of these studs, by the way, just in case we did come into some sort of difficulty. But yeah, we know you can put it down again. Okay, put it back on there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to wind this all the way in. Okay. Now the tricky thing is to have the engine jacked up. Nick, if you can just bring that camera along. I don't know if you can see the problem here. So we're going to have to bring the engine up again so it just meets, there we go, because we don't want to put unnecessary strain on those studs. The important thing is don't bother about these bolts, bother about disconnecting. Do it in the order that you took everything apart from. I've got a feeling, is this the one that doesn't go in? I've got a feeling it is because it's got the cutout. Yeah, might be that case actually. Dodgy parts again. This is ridiculous. So you see here, we've got this sort of cutout here. No wonder I couldn't get the stud through. There's a bit of poor casting there. That shouldn't be that tight. The original one, mate. That one is more closed up than that one. Honest to God. Honest to God, Nick. That's why we couldn't get it to go through. Well, that one should go through like that. Okay, there we go. It's a bit more free now. So now I'm just going to park it up like this. Unfortunately, these are some of the workarounds that you have to do, but just take your time with this, and then just get this screwed into the block. Again, I'm just going to have to jack on the engine just to get that sitting right. Now, could be. There we go. And just wind that in. And the best way of doing it is by tightening these studs. There we go. Excuse me. I'm sorry, can you guess what I've done wrong here? I've put it in upside down. Oh, for goodness. I've had, it's been a long day. Yeah. That's my excuse on that one. Honestly, people must think that that's hilarious. I'm going to put this in the video because I think that would be hilarious. Spot the problem. There'll be people shouting, "You've done it wrong, Andrew." I know I've done it wrong. There we go. Gone in. Yeah, I know. Let's tighten this up. I know.
Is it in the right way this time?
I think so. And it is absolutely going in like a treat. There we go. Nice. Nice.
Do you have to put them in dry and not put any?
You can put a bit of GT85, WD-40, maybe some lubrication, but do you know what? I don't see the need. They've gone in really nicely. You just feel it going in nicely, mate. It's just, there's no torsion on that whatsoever.
You know what you say about WD-40?
Yes, I know.
Attract dirt.
Absolutely. We've used a lot of WD-40 today, but as a necessary evil. Now just check that this one is tight. Yeah, that's fine. Right, they're all tight now. Okay, now you can see we're a bit offset here. It's shifted across. The engine is too far back. There we go, see? That, okay? We can easily correct that later on. But what we're going to do now is put the nuts back on. We've got a few of these. Okay, so now because we're tightening them, we don't need to worry about them catching the threads. Yes, they are, absolutely. And I'm just going to use my cheat gun. Wind it on by hand.
Do you tighten these evenly, or is it just bam bam bam?
Yeah, try and do it evenly. I mean, this is not the most appropriate way, but I'm just going to do it as tightly as I possibly can. There we go. Until they're like on the base, they're flush with the surface. Okay, and get a click. There we go. Lovely. Okay. We're not talking anything down yet because we've got to put these buggers back in. Now,
disclaimer: you're not a professional. You're not a professional mechanic.
Absolutely not. But then professional mechanic. I bet you there's an awful lot of SHIT that happens in garages, and they cover it up.
Yeah.
Big style.
Oh, yeah.
That's the difference.
Stuff that you don't want to see.
Exactly. And you see what I'm doing here. Now, what we're going to have to do is shift this engine a little bit. There we go. That's gone in. You're going to have to just bring it this way. You might need a helper to do this, but I think you should be all right. And we've managed to just bring that way. And it will centralise itself quite nicely.
That one's not quite lined up.
No, it's still... It will just about go in. Right. Nick, can you do that? Yep. It does that with two people doing this.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, lovely. It will pull on them threads a little bit, but as long as it's centralised, it will kind of centralise itself. Now I'm just going to whack it up using the impact gun yet again. This gun really has worked for its keep today. Now, quick to do this, just pull the engine forwards a little bit while doing this. There we go, lovely. Just do it evenly, we're not torquing anything up.
Yet.
No, I think it's stiff now. Okay, that's not even flush yet, so... There you go. You see, it's centralised. Look, you see this mounting? You know when you're centralised, look, there's an even gap around here. So we know it's all nice in situ. Now, torque settings. Have you got the post-it note, my friend?
Yeah.
Oh, it's here on the steering wheel. Let me go and get the post-it note. Ignore my terrible drawings. 80, 80, 48. Right, okay. So, now as far as I'm concerned, the ones here need to be done up to 8. I think it's 8. I think these are 80 to the body. Okay. Just going to get my torque wrench. And it doesn't matter what way you do this. Remember, the jack is on. So the pressure the jack is on, and I suggest you torque it up with the jack putting the pressure up. Okay. Then you lower it down and recheck your torque settings. So we have the first one, which is about 50 Newton meters. It's 48 by the book. We're going to do these. So I'll torque these up first. There's no rule of thumb. You can probably, I'd suggest torque these up and then torque these up later on. So this is it. There we go, fine. Okay, lovely. And the final one. Lovely. Not too much. And then you can go and torque the others up to about 80, which is about that. Lovely. It's been a while since I've used this in anger. I've had this for years, this Sealy one. Lovely. Good. And the bottom one. Oh, that's already done. Now that might indicate that I've actually done it up too much with the impact gun, but I'd rather have it done too much than too little. Although that's quite a contrast to the garages of when you take the car for a tyre change,
Yes.
and the next time you work on it, you can't take the wheels off because they've whacked the gun up to 1,000,000 Newton meters when it's only meant to be like 100 or something for most cars. So anyway, that is now all done. We can just stick this back over here. We are going to have to take that off in a second anyway, but that's going to be done off camera because we're freaking sick and tired of it, to be honest with you. Coolant bottle, lovely. I'll just put the screw back in there, and then this throttle little grommet here, you can buy these brand new. There we go, all done, mate. Fantastic. Well, you could definitely start the car and it won't jump out no more. That is going to make such a huge difference. Obviously, because we haven't managed to do the swing mounting, that will be done by your local garage, won't it? So they're going to have a lovely job on their hands. Not. I mean, the worst case scenario, Nick, is that you have to take, you have to replace the subframe. This is not ridiculous, this is. Sometimes you have to replace such big components to get around a problem. Obviously, with the thermostat housing, you're not replacing the engine. That's the least of our wants and needs. So that's been done as best as it could, and it's sealed up. But this job with that rear mount, worst case scenario, Nick, we're looking at a new subframe. And you got a new steering rack,
Yes.
which you bought for Jezabella, never fitted. So you've got one of the most expensive bits already.
I've got one thing missing.
What's that?
The inner.
The inner trap rods.
Yeah, because I used one on Derek.
Yes. That's
So it's
right.
got a new
We'll
one.
just get a new one. But basically, the point is, there's always a workaround. Now, luckily, the bolt has snapped. I think I threw it in the bin. It snapped almost flush. So that rod, that stud, or what's remaining of it, of that bolt, is keeping that engine mounting from swinging. So when you go home, Nick, just drive home nice and smoothly. But anyway, guys, to you guys, this is how to do it. Very easy, very simple, bit fiddly, but I'm gonna have to take that engine mounting off because the next job is the timing belt. But the next job today is the power steering, of which you've seen a million times. So I'm going to end this episode here. No doubt we'll go for a little test drive. I'm sure that we could do an exit to this video. So we'll catch you imminently for you. Well, unfortunately, Andrew, there are some things that we unwittingly actually missed out. One of them, well, there are a couple of things we've done since. The handbrake. The handbrake has been changed, the handbrake lever, just a couple of bolts, take the switch off, slacken it all off, and now, Nick, we have a very, very tidy handbrake, don't we?
Oh, yes.
It comes up in 4 clicks. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's nice and stiff, isn't it? That's brilliant. So now we've sorted that out. It's got a better handbrake lever. We need a new bit of trim. There's a radiator deflector that goes between the bottom cross member and the bottom of the front bumper. Mine didn't have it for years, and mine used to droop like this. But if you've got the deflector, it pushes the front bumper like that. You see that? Makes a lot of difference to the actual gap between all this here. And there's another thing that I've got to show you. Also, something we really, really irritatingly, it was so irritating. We had this chrome backed surround to these number plates. Some of these holes have been drilled into the bumper at a later stage because the original holes are a bit more closer, hence why we've got a bit of bending going on. But I love the flag there, that's got to be there. And this is a nice registration plate, and it just looks a little bit nicer at the front instead of having something really blingy. It really doesn't suit the car. Unfortunately, we did have some there's some things that we've noticed which might make it difficult for suspension jobs in the future, namely wishbone bolts that I tried to move just to crack off, couldn't move them. Bolts started rounding. Basically, it's completely normal. Everything underneath this car is a joke. I'm afraid a lot of these jobs are just going to have to be done by the garage, being that I can't really do them because I ain't got the time. And that, for me, if I was doing it, Nick, and the way it's going to have to be done is you got the rack, you're just going to have to replace the entire subframe with the, basically you throw all this in the bin. The wishbones, the subframe will all go in the bin as one unit. That it will only be the anti-roll bar that you'll have to take off, that the garage will have to take off, and it will all, well, they see on the struts from the hubs, and that is if you can actually get those Torx wishbone bolts out of the bottom of the hubs.
I'm not going to try.
Otherwise, the hubs will have to go in the bin as well.
Oh no, Dolphin.
No, I know. It's going to escalate really badly, that. So I'm afraid it is going to have to all go in one situ. And like the rear suspension, that could escalate. But anyway, the next job is the timing belt. But before we cut to the end of this video, let's go for a drive. Don't yawn on camera. What the heck, man? See you in a bit, buddy. Take care.